In this video, I want to show you how to build a WebGL build of your Unity game so that you can host your game on a platform like itch.io or host it on your personal website, and someone can instantly, after loading the page, be able to play your game, which is really great from the standpoint of sharing your game. No one has to download and install anything to play your game, and also great from the portfolio building perspective of if a hiring manager who's looking at your portfolio can open up a game and see what you've built in the time it takes to load a web page, they're much more likely to actually check out what you've built. So to start, we've got Unity open here, and you're going to want to go to your build settings, and you may have PC, Mac, Linux standalone selected. So you'll have to click on WebGL and then click the switched platform button at the bottom if you're not already set to WebGL build. This may be changing in future versions of Unity, but the one we're using for this class currently, you have to go through this process of switching. If you don't have the WebGL module installed, you'll have to pop open Unity Hub, go to your installs, look for the version of Unity that you're using, hit this drop down, add modules, and make sure that you get the WebGL build support. So I'll assume that you've got it. Then what you can do is hit build and run to test out a WebGL build. And usually I recommend, let me get rid of this and do it from scratch, creating a builds folder that is right next to your assets folder. And then for each platform that you're building, I recommend creating another folder. So I'll call this WebGL, select that folder, let build and run do its thing. This is going to take a few minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording and come back. So that took about a minute to finish, and then my Chrome window popped open at this localhost URL. So Unity's created what's called a local server to actually host our WebGL game so that we can test it out in the browser. And it's got the default Unity template, which allows you to full screen, hit exit to leave full screen, and we can see that this works where you can hit play and click and make some animals explode. So we're gonna hit escape to go out of full screen. I'm going to close this down, and I want to point out that the player settings have some customization that you can do for your WebGL platform. So if you pop open player settings, you can name your game, and then you can customize some of the things like the resolution that your game loads at for default in the browser, or you can choose a different template than the one we were just using, splash screen. There are a bunch of settings here for optimization and trimming down your build size so that you get smaller builds for hosting, publishing settings, etc. So you can go through these and tweak. Once you've got your build, anytime you make changes to your game, you can hit build and run to run them and test them in WebGL, or you can just hit build to just build the WebGL files to that folder wherever you select on your machine. So I'm going to pull that up here, Show in Explorer, into my builds folder. Here's my WebGL build, and the anatomy of it is that there's an index.html file, and most web servers are configured so that if you upload something like this folder that has an index.html file, if you go to that directory through your browser to the URL that points to that directory, this index.html file will open up. One note is that if you try to double click and open this, here we go. If you try and just open your WebGL build without running it through a server, you'll often hit an error that has to do with the fact that this is trying to load a file and not a URL that's behind what's called an HTTP server. So watch the other video that's in the canvas that has to do with how to run a local server so that you can actually run WebGL builds without needing to go through Unity. But you can always go through Unity and hit build and run to get a local server up and running for your WebGL build. So once you've got this WebGL build, you can take this, you can throw this on your own personal server and have it hosted, or you can take this whole folder and zip it up and put it onto a service like itch.io to then create a web page on using their service that has your game loading in a nice little frame.